2020 Tantra, Crown Tantra, info in the description. So why do people do what they do? Why do they eat what they eat or smoke what they smoke? Well, trauma makes you breathe shallow. When you breathe shallow, then you think shallow because you're breathing shallow to chop up the breath into more manageable pieces, more digestible pieces. So you're with that, your thoughts are all getting chopped and scrambled too. Because when you breathe deep, you process deeply. So if you're breathing shallow, you're gonna have a short processing system, and that's people having ADD, ADHD, short attention spans. It's just the shallow breathing. So and the stimulation too, of course, because stimulation is destruction and creation is alignment. But let me digress. So as you have this trauma and it makes you breathe shallow and you don't realize that you've been panting for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever it may be. You've been panting for years, so then your thoughts are in that same cycle, that panting cycle. You're getting thoughts in pieces, your manifestations coming in pieces, everything in life is in pieces. You're not at peace, so your breath isn't full, so your thoughts aren't full. So what people are doing to slow down that process, that flood of thoughts that they're dealing with, people are eating low vibrational foods because it slows the metabolism, it slows everything, it slows your energy down. You take in low energy, you become low energy or low vibration. So then the thoughts are slowing down for a moment as you inhale oil or inhale smoke or eat, foods of the matrix, which is cultivated foods. So as you're eating these things that are lower vibration than you, because something can only make you healthier if it's a higher vibration than you. So if it's a lower vibration, it'll make you sick. It's just that simple. So if you're eating a lower vibrational food to slow down your thoughts, you have that period, or you're getting high or whatever, to slow down. You're slowing your atoms down. You're slowing your molecules down so that you can process, or you can have this perception of being able to process your thoughts, because it's such a rush of thoughts all the time. And then those thoughts, eventually snowball into emotion, and you have a bunch of emotions rushing you. So people are taking things into their body that slow the metabolism down, slow the thinking metabolism down. And after that chemical-induced slowing down has happened, you have an even bigger flood of thoughts and emotions because you've pretty much robbed Peter to pay Paul. So you robbed yourself of extended peace, which would come with deep breaths. You rob yourself of that by going with the chemical peace. So basically it's like the same way if you take caffeine in your body now, it's like robbing your tomorrow's energy and pushing it forward today. So then when tomorrow comes, you're even more tired, then you need the caffeine. It's the same thing. So you're stimulating and robbing tomorrow's energy to use it now. It's the same thing as slowing down your vibrations, slowing down your processes so that you can process the thoughts and emotions. Once that's done, once that chemical slowing down has happened, then you're going to have to go through the process of, accepting again. All those thoughts and everything it's going to rush back in and flood back in, and then you're going to need to control the breathing to change that. Your breath pattern is your thought pattern, and your thought pattern becomes your emotional pattern, and then that becomes your behavioral patterns. So it's all starting with the subtle, the small changes all. And that's really what it's about. People are just trying to slow down the pain and then, get some sanity. And in doing that, once that chemical sanity goes away, then they crave it even more. They need the food to slow it down, to slow down the pain, slow down the detox process, or halt the detox process altogether, or reverse it. Whatever, just to stop that pain or slow it down to where it's more manageable and they have this sense of sanity, because that's pretty much what people are calling sanity, living within a certain paradigm. The rights and wrongs of that paradigm is what they're calling sanity. So in order to maintain that paradigm or to maintain that pace or speed of life or whatever, then they are doing things to slow that down, that process down, to where they can manage it. But again, it's just, you're robbing tomorrow's energy for today, and then you just create a greater snowball effect to where you have an even greater breath debt to yourself. So it's all about that breath work. And then just getting back on top of the breath to where you're not beneath the pendulum. And your pendulum's not so extreme, because the body gets locked into an equilibrium. People are smokers and drinkers and eaters of terrible things for years, and they're on an equilibrium. They've been locked into that, and then their routines are locked into that. It's like a car, like a transmission, old transmission, you know, transmission. It's like as soon as you cleanse it and flush it, it might totally break. So it's got to be a gradual, or a complete overhaul. You got to either get a totally new transmission, or get gradually just put that lubricant in there until you can no longer drive that car. So that's what people are pretty much doing. Instead of doing the overhaul and changing their transmission, they're just slowly doing soft killing themselves so that they can maintain the equilibrium of sanity, what they call insanity, identifying with insanity, because they're identifying with thoughts. So you identify with this right thought, then that comes with a wrong thought, and then you stay in that paradigm, and then that's what you call sanity. So people are in an equilibrium. It might be extreme or whatever, but people are in their equilibrium, so they're already locked into that. Like when the body's locked into a routine and acid to alkaline equilibrium, then the consciousness is also locked into that. And people don't realize like this. It's just different levels of slavery. It's like, you had overt slavery, feudalism, actual slavery. Then you had sharecropping, and then the next generation looks at sharecropping as slavery, and then the next generation looks at going to war, working for corporations as slavery, and then the next generation looks at being in the caloric time paradigm, where you eat to have energy during these time periods, and you're locked in the time period, and you're in that paradigm of time and calories, and you're in that measurement paradigm. So that's a level of slavery to the next generation that follows that. Then the next generation that follows that is like, oh, every time I put in external matrix light into my body, it's blocking my internal light. If I'm forced to do that to survive, then that's a different level of slave. Then the next generation is looking at it like, okay, if I'm identifying with my body and its identities, its limitations, its concepts, then I'm identifying with the slave and I'm not the master of my body. So that's a different level. It's just different echelons of slavery. And, the more that you're forcing something, the more that you're raping it. So if you're forcing your body to slow down with external drugs, it's creating rape. You rape yourself, then you raped outwardly, and then it just perpetuates itself. But if you just slow the breathe and accept the breath, because what you want to do and what the world wants to do with life itself, you are life itself. They're never two separate things. They're the same thing. So it's just acceptance of the breath, and then everything else shows itself. Every other step shows itself. Because then once the breath is sorted, then the thoughts are sorted, then the emotions are sorted, then the behavioral patterns are sorted, and then it all shows itself. Then the next step births the next step, and then you walk the unimaginable path and from infinity to infinity. So 2020 Tantra, Crown Tantra, info in the description. I'm on all social media. And again, 38 PDFs and 3 audiobooks. You can DM me for the details on those.